y'all, welcome back to the Briles Bunch, or welcome if you're new here. If you've been around for a while, this isn't my typical video, but I had several people want me to make a video about my pregnancy thus far and how we found out, you know, all the details. And I'm usually an oversharer, so if that's your thing, then this is probably the video, because I usually do probably share more than I should sometimes. But that's okay. I really seriously don't mind. Like, if I ever do a Q&A, feel free to ask me any questions, because I will most likely answer them. I usually just don't give out too much information, because I'm like, do they really want to know that, you know? But if you ask me, I will usually answer it pretty much. And if I didn't want to, then I wouldn't answer it. Okay. Hope this isn't too crooked or anything. If it is, I apologize. I've never done one of these in the car, and I'm only doing it because everybody's in the house, and I don't know, just easier. If I waited until the house was, you know, perfect for me a video, it just wouldn't happen. So I came out in the car. I'm actually in Travis's car because it's cleaner than mine. Also, it's getting a little cold out here, but I'm gonna sit out here and talk to you guys for a little bit. So in this video, like I said, I'm gonna share how we found out that I was pregnant, like when I found out and all that. A little bit of like Grant's reaction, because that was really cute. And then give a little update. This past week was a real rough week in my pregnancy, and that's probably where I'll do most of the oversharing, because I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable with sharing it all, and I'm not sure how much I actually will. But it's been a really rough week. Today I'm feeling a little more normal though, and so I decided I would film. Hopefully I don't run out of daylight. It's getting kind of dark and a little bit cold out here, but it'll be okay. So right now I'm currently 17 weeks pregnant. Did I say my name? I'm Courtney, if you're new here. My name's Courtney. Married to Travis. We've got 2 boys already. They are 5 and 3, and I am currently 17 weeks pregnant with our 3rd. And we did just find out the gender this past week. We weren't supposed to find out until January, but I'm switching doctors, and I'll explain all that later. But he's like, you want to find out the gender? I said, sure. And I was going to put it in an envelope, but never mind. That's a story for the end of it, but I found out. So eventually we'll share that. We haven't shared it with all of our family yet, and we'll probably do that around Christmas time when all the family's together. So then we'll share it with you guys. Yeah. So I'll just start out from the beginning and we'll go from there. So when I found out, I was 6 days, no, what was it? 6 days before my missed period. So how many ever days of DPO? I didn't keep up with that. And it's kind of funny, kind of not funny, because I would have had like a video for it, but the month before I swore that I would have been pregnant that month, and I videoed it and everything, and it just didn't end up. And then this time I was like, there's no way, but then I did. So didn't have any film showing that. I was like keeping track of like my positives each day, because that first one that I took was actually not in the morning, it was like the evening before, and it was so faint. And usually I have really bad line eyes anyway, like I can make something out of nothing. But then Travis was looking at it, he's like, he didn't see anything and he didn't think it was positive, but I was pretty sure that it was. But he convinced me that it wasn't. So the next morning I was actually getting up early to go with a friend, and we were going yard selling. So I was up before Travis and everybody else in the house, earlier than I normally get up. And I went ahead and took one, and it was like pretty positive pretty quick, and there was no denying it. There was definitely another line there. And so that morning I was like doing everything I could to not be quiet before I left to go yard selling. Everything other than just like going and shaking Travis to wake him up, because like I really wanted to tell him before I left. But he wasn't waking up. So I had to keep that with me all day. I told my friend, because seriously y'all, I can't keep a secret very long at all. I told you all pretty early on too, like earlier than a lot of people share it. And so I went ahead and told my friend, and she was super excited. And then I had to wait until I got home later that day. I even took the test with me, yard selling, and I had it in my purse so that he wouldn't see it. And so I told him when I got home that night, and yeah, I just couldn't believe that he didn't think the one the night before was positive, because there was a line. It was very, very faint, but after all the ones that I have blind eyes on, that one was there. So, and then I think I told Grant pretty soon too, like within the next day or two, because like I said, can't keep secret. Like my parents knew, his parents knew, all of the family knew pretty quick. And either way, like I've mentioned it to you guys once before that our last pregnancy ended in a miscarriage, and even then we told our family really early. And I like to have it that way because you don't want to go through, how do I say it? I personally, at least for us, like having the prayers and people knowing what's going on. It's just scary to go through that kind of stuff by yourself. So either way, I like the family at least to know, and close friends and stuff like that. So I told them, and then I told Grant, and he's super excited because he's always saying he wants a little baby, that they're so cute and everything. He's been so precious this whole pregnancy. He loves each week when I get that new like notification for my app, and it shows how big the baby is and everything. He keeps up with it just as much as I do, and I think it's so precious. So when I told Grant, he was so excited. He could not believe it. And I've got a video clip of a little bit of that I'll probably insert here if I can find it. I'm pretty sure I took it on my phone. And he's precious, so I will show that now. Grant, there really is.
There's not. There is not a baby in your tummy. No, no. I am gonna tell. I'm not gonna keep secrets of yours.
What?
I think it's a boy.
Why?
Because I want a girl one. I just think it's a boy. I've been wanting a girl baby, so you might.
Have been? So he might what?
I've been wanting a girl baby, so he might want to be good. And all of us a girl baby.
Oh.
We would have our own baby.
A girl baby.
But once she grows up, I might be a little bit sad.
Why?
Because I don't like babies growing up bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger like me.
Why not?
I just want to have a baby normal and keep forever like a baby.
Oh,
so.
you like babies?
Yeah. God, make sure this time Mama's baby gets healthy this time, because the last time hers wasn't very healthy. It went away from her belly. So make sure this time she be very healthy and does good stuff that she needs to do for her baby, like drink water and stuff like that. Amen.
Amen. That was so sweet. Thank you, buddy. Okay, now that you've seen that, so our church actually found out pretty early on too. I was only 8 weeks pregnant when they found out, and usually we wait a little bit, I guess. I hadn't even been to my first, no, I think I had an ultrasound by then. But so at 8 weeks pregnant, I wasn't going to church that morning because I was really, really nauseous and just did not feel good at all. I've had no energy. I'll explain some of the symptoms I've had after I get through all of this. Grant is so precious. I've already said this, but so when they got there, Grant had told Travis that he wanted to pray. Like in our church, everybody can raise their hands if they have a prayer request and let them be known to everybody. And so Grant wanted to pray for me, and Travis was like, yeah, that's okay. What are you going to pray for? And he said, pray for Mommy because she doesn't feel good. And yeah, that sounds great. So he raised his hand to pray. And so basically when they asked, Grant what his was, he said, pray for Mommy because she has a baby in her tummy and she doesn't feel good and she won't feel better until the baby gets out. So that's how our whole church found out. And I don't even think we had told everybody in our family yet anyway. And that was just so funny and cute. And you can imagine Travis didn't know what was going on either. And all the attention on him. I can just imagine. I wish I could have seen that personally. And then Porter was trying to too. And I know what his would have been because he had done that in children's church. Once, after that, since then, or no, I think it was that same day he ended up praying for it. He was praying for the baby that's in his tummy too, because when I was telling my cousin on FaceTime that we were pregnant, Porter was at the same time telling them that he had a baby in his tummy too. So that's been funny this whole time. I don't know. And then afterwards he felt really bad because he remembered that it was a secret and he apologized. I was like, no, you do not ever have to apologize for praying for me. That was like the sweetest thing that you could have done. Oh my goodness. I don't know how I got so lucky with them too. They're just absolutely adorable and precious. Makes me excited that I'm pregnant again because I don't know, they're just great. Anyway, okay, so that's how we found out. That's how everybody else found out. So as far as like first trimester symptoms go, it's pretty typical stuff. I was extremely nauseous starting at like 6 weeks on and exhausted, like no energy. I had not experienced that with either of my pregnancies. The exhaustion, I was a little bit tired with Porter in the beginning, but it didn't last long at all, and it wasn't like to the point where I could not do anything like this one. I'd never experienced it that strongly, and I still don't know. I still have days like that where I just was literally on the couch all day and I did not want to do anything. I felt like I could not do anything, didn't have the energy to do it, and I was so much more nauseous this pregnancy, and I still am pretty nauseous sometimes. I'm 17 weeks now, but it's getting a little bit better. I'm still taking my medicine. When I don't, I can definitely tell the difference because it's not pretty. But the nauseousness I've had with both my other pregnancies, with Grant, it lasted the entire time, and I was way more sick. Like, I actually got sick a lot more with him, and I got sick a lot more with Porter too, but I didn't have the all-day nauseousness like I do this time. It's not been fun. And another thing that I usually look forward to in pregnancy is good hair, and I don't usually break out too much. This time I have broke out quite a bit. My hair's still decent. Like, I've had some good hair days. And that's saying something. I usually have pretty oily hair, but I've had pretty good hair days since being pregnant. That's something I really do enjoy. But breakouts have been quite a bit. And that's basically like my main symptoms. I can't really think of any others. I think I had some written down. Let me just see. Oh, the other thing that I have a lot is, it's getting darker and you can tell. I'm so sorry if the lighting's terrible. That I always have in every pregnancy is a lot of sinus stuff. And during these times it can be a little scarier because you don't know if it's like pregnancy sinus stuff or if it's, you know, other things. But I've had it every time I've been pregnant, and it sucks because it lasts for several weeks. But apparently it's pretty normal. It was actually ended up being in my app that I follow. I think I have like the, what one do I follow the most that I like? The baby center one that I have is the one that I tend to like. Okay, so now to this past week. Well, this whole pregnancy, I've got a different doctor to begin with when I started because mine isn't practicing anymore, I guess. I think she's taken more of the, like, the teaching route of it. I'm not really sure. I loved the one that I had, though, that delivered both of the boys, and that's the one that I saw, like, I only ever saw one. I saw her and then I never left. But then this time I was having a lot of hard time. Well, it was first her and then her nurse practitioner that I would see sometimes when she wasn't there. And she was leaving too. She moved. So I didn't get to see her but like one visit. And then after that I was going to be switching around, or I needed to pick somebody. But apparently they were having a lot of overturn issues and stuff as well. So I just ultimately didn't feel comfortable going there. And we were having a lot of hard time getting my medicine. And I'm not sure if that was on the insurance side or their side. The insurance said it was them, and then they said it was the insurance. So I don't know. We still haven't, we've just been having to pay out of pocket for my nausea medicine, but it's fine. So after that, I went to another one that I thought I would like, and a friend from church, somebody that we go to church with, had helped me get in there, and she's great. She's one of the receptionists there, and now I feel bad after the fact because she helped me a lot to get into it. It's like a place where you actually switch doctors every time you go, and I didn't necessarily think that I would like that part of it, and I definitely after the fact know that I don't like that part. So it only took me 2 appointments to realize this. And the second appointment, like, I had been having such bad headaches ever since second trimester. So I told you pretty much my first trimester stuff, but second trimester I've had these terrible headaches, and I'm pretty sure they're migraines now. But then I'm just thinking I've got real bad headaches. She pretty much just blew it off. I guess I'm not telling this exactly in order. So Tuesday of last week, with my headaches, I've had like random vision loss, and I lost like my peripheral left half, and then anything that I would focus on would like go blurry. And this happened the first time after I got sick one evening, and so we called the on-call nurse people, and they pretty much said that that can happen a lot in pregnancy with people that get sick a lot, which I hadn't actually been getting sick too often like up until then. This is making me look like orange or something. I don't know what's up with that, but we're gonna get through it because I'm almost done. So I don't know. And I didn't tell them that this is my bad eye anyway. Like, it's getting worse vision wise. I just went to the eye doctor and everything. Well, I guess that's it. So then on Thursday I had my OB appointment, my normal OB schedule, and I was telling her about it, and she was just kind of dismissing it, and she was like, well, who's your eye doctor? I was like, I couldn't remember because I have pregnancy brain and I could not think of it for the life of me. And she's like, she didn't say anything, and at that point I'm just feeling awful. It's like, okay, cool. And also another thing is, in my pregnancies in the past, I've gotten high blood pressure toward the 3rd trimester, so I'm totally expecting that to happen again this time. And they want me to take aspirin, which is fine, but when I go into the doctor's, I get so nervous and worked up because I do have social anxiety, and I've mentioned that a long time ago. I've actually got a video about anxiety in general. Now if I was watching it, I don't know how I'd feel about it, but so when I go in, I get really nervous and my blood pressure is always high, but at home it's always normal. Don't know if my blood pressure reading is normal or not, but I've taken it on ours and other family members, and it's always like normal. So, except in the last trimester of pregnancy, and it would be high just like it would be at the doctor's office. So I don't know. And she was saying just take some magnesium for the headache, or try that. And then for blood pressure, they just didn't say nothing. Fast forward to Saturday, and I have 3 different episodes within an hour's time span of like the blurry vision loss, and I've constantly had this headache anyway, pretty much every day. But the blurred vision loss was really, really scary to me. Like, if you've ever had that happen, it's very scary when it happens. So we decided to go to the ER because it kept happening like 3 different times, and it was just, I couldn't see anything, and that's pretty scary to lose your vision. So we went, and I get extremely nervous when I go in there, and my blood pressure like spiked. But she also had me talking. I had my long sleeves on. I just got up and sat down, and it was very, very high. It was scary high. I was scared. I don't know that I can even tell you what it was because it was scary. And so they immediately got me back and then started doing blood pressure again. At that point, you know, I'm there for my head and vision loss, and they're just worried about my blood pressure, which I'm sure some of that goes hand in hand. I'm not, you know, I don't know. But so after that, they're constantly checking my blood pressure, and it is going down from that scary one, but it's still really high. At that point, it was like 150 over 100 or 99, something like that, and it was pretty much staying there. And the more time that passed, like the more anxious and anxious I got, and I had like the nervous shakes. My nervous system was shot by the time I left, and it was uncontrollable shaking. Pretty sure I was panicking. And then she had to get my blood. She couldn't get it out of my arm. Never actually have had an issue with that, but she did get it on my hand. It's completely bruised, and it is now, what day is today? Friday, and I went on Saturday, so it still looks this bad. She got it on my hand though, and then later she came back in to do an IV. I wish I would have told them no for the IV. They put fluids along with 2 different medicines in it, and I'm a little aggravated about it because this isn't me complaining. I'm just being completely open with everything that I've been dealing with this past week. Just letting you in on it. So the doctor that I had in the ER came and went a couple different times, and I had let him know that I don't like to take medicines when I have the IVs. It's not been good. I had the thyroid surgery several years back, and they gave me something for, it was either pain, pretty sure it wasn't nausea because that wouldn't make sense. Whatever it was, they put it in the IV, and literally like 10 seconds later I felt the rush through me, and I ended up like throwing up everywhere. So I've not had good experiences with it before, and I have turned it down. I don't like to take medicine. I really, really don't. So at all costs, I try to stay away from it. And I was telling him that I don't take much, and all I've taken for my head is Tylenol, and it wasn't touching it. And so he's going to give me something in my IV, and he's like, oh, but don't worry about it. By the time you're done, you'll be loopy. And I'm just thinking, that is the opposite of what I want to feel. I like to be alert and know what's going on, you know? So he gives me the stuff in my arm. Well, he don't. The nurse does. And I guess, according to him, they just slammed it in there too hard because it shouldn't have had that effect. But I'm pretty sure no matter what they put in it, I was probably going to have that effect because I just freak out. Got hot and clammy and like felt spaced out. I was not having the loopy, sleepy effect. It did not make me sleepy. It made me feel like I was going to pass out. And I was like freaking out. I was like, I need out. I've never had this feeling where I just wanted to rip everything off of me before. Like the IVs, the blood pressure thing. I did take that blood pressure thing off because I couldn't handle it. I've never had that feeling before though, where I just wanted to rip it out. I called them in there and it took them too long to get in there. It felt like an eternity. They hadn't checked fetal heart tones or anything yet. But eventually I talked her into it. I was like, I need to get up, I need to pee. I was thinking of any excuse to get up and get this unhooked for me, which I'm pretty sure all the medicine was in me already anyway, except for the fluids, and fluids wouldn't make you feel funny. So I need to slow down. I'm getting too worked up. So I talked her into taking it off, and she's like, well, if you're feeling lightheaded, you don't need to be getting up. And I was like, I've got to. I have got to get up. And she's like, but you need to keep the blood pressure thing on. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I was having some major blood pressure phobia or something, because they had me feeling like I was going to die from my blood pressure the way they were acting. Nobody was talking to me about my head anymore. But the doctor did say I needed a scan, CT or MRI, but they couldn't do MRI until, you know, the next day. But it's the safest for baby. So I don't know. And he like had me do, because when I went, my blurred vision was still there a little bit, and he had me like, you know, seeing how many numbers he held up, and I actually missed one on the top, and that was really scary. So that had me, I was seriously a mess. I've never felt the way I've felt before. The extreme anxiety and like panic that I was feeling was terrible. I'm like, I need to get out of here. When it became clear to me that I wasn't going to get a scan, and that's what I came there for, I needed to leave. He did prescribe some blood pressure medicine. Didn't take it until I saw the doctor on Monday though. Is that about it? Let me think. Oh, the person, during the midst of me panicking and wanting her to take this out, she insisted that she was going to do the fetal sounds all of a sudden. And she asked me, she's like, where do they normally check it? And I was like, I don't know. I've had like 2 appointments so far. Which, I mean, it's just, I didn't know exactly what she meant. So I was like, right here? And then she's like, I mean, I didn't know if they did left or right. I was like, I really don't know. I'm sorry. So she figured, she got it and did it for like 2 seconds, and that was it. So that's all the checkup we got on baby. And then fast forward to leaving there, I was still in an absolute panic, had the uncontrollable shakes until the next morning. And then even then I would start to think about it and I would still be shaking. Like, my nervous system was absolutely shot this past weekend. And it is the scariest, and I'm starting to cry, I'm trying not to, the scariest and most awful feeling I've ever felt in my life. The extreme anxiety, like, I've dealt with anxiety before, but it's never been that bad. I've had like a handful of panic attacks in my life. 2, well, one was when I was pregnant with Porter at church. That was, I mentioned that in my last video, I'm pretty sure, talking about anxiety. And then one was this past year, and I was actually pregnant and didn't know it. That's when before I knew that I was pregnant, and then ended up having the miscarriage. And then the rest of them have pretty much been this pregnancy. Once, when that first night that I lost my vision, because like I could not see at all. And then the rest of them were just this whole weekend pretty much. Saturday after that episode that I was having, but it didn't, like, the extreme like panic didn't happen until I was in the hospital, and then it just stayed until Monday night, pretty much, the extreme panic and worry. And Sunday, the only thing that would make me feel better, my poor friends, I'm telling you, I have such good friends, like, I'm so thankful for them. one of my friends came and picked me up because I was in panic mode pretty much, you know. I don't know why I'm crying. I'm like through it now. So, but she drove me around pretty much all day. It was all day. And I think I took some kind of medicine. I don't remember what it was. I guess it was seriously, I'm pretty sure I lost time. Like, it's a blur at this point. But on that Sunday, she picked me up, and the only thing that made me feel better was riding in the car. I don't know what it was, but I was able to relax a little bit while I was in there, and I was still, you know, and then as soon as I would get home, I would just start panicking again, or like even when the car would stop. So bless her heart, we rode around for hours that day. We could have been at the beach. And then the next day, I was with my friend, and Travis was going to try to get me into the OB as soon as possible, and he did get one at the one that I no longer will probably be going to, because I didn't end up going to it. But then my other friend, she drove me around from morning to night that day pretty much, and she got me into this new doctor. I actually messaged him on Facebook, and thank the Lord he had responded to her in the middle of the day and got me in at like 1:30 that day, because earlier on the phone, when she had called just the office, they couldn't get me in until Friday. So that was such a blessing. And I don't think I've ever been to a doctor's appointment where I could not even like sit while they were talking to me. I still couldn't think past, you know, what I'm going through. I couldn't watch any shows or movies to distract me this whole weekend. And that Monday when I went into that appointment, I was trying to talk to the doctor and the student doctor, and I just started bawling. Like, I could not control it. I was so panicked. And the day before, we had called the on-call person again too, because I was so panicky, and he was saying that the blood pressure medicine should help with anxiety too, and obviously it didn't do squat. So yeah, I did take some blood pressure medicine that day to try. I took half a pill. That's probably why I didn't do squat, but I don't think it helps with it anyway. But at that point, I was like begging for it, and they still wouldn't give it to me, and that's probably just because it was on the phone. They have to wait until you see a doctor. But the ER doctor didn't do anything for it either, and I think that's some crap, to be honest, because I was clearly panicking and very, very anxious. But Monday, when I got in there, bless their hearts, the nurse, I could not sit down for her. She's like, you could sit here, you could sit on the counter, you could sit on the table. She was so great. And then the doctors, and I was bawling, and my blood pressure was still really high when I went in, because I was still in this huge state of anxiety. When I first went in, it was 160. By the time I left, it was still 140 something. So they really think that I need blood pressure medicine, which maybe I do, maybe I don't, but my head's still hurting. I hadn't got that taken care of yet. This is such a long video. I'm so sorry, y'all. So he got me some small dose of anxiety medicine, y'all. It's helped. That's the first time I've like ever really just absolutely not been able to get myself out of my anxious state. Like, usually I can see past it and then we can get through it pretty easily, you know, but this wasn't going away. It was not going to go away on its own, and I recognized that, and I was like, I don't know, it was such a relief when I finally had somebody listen to me and took it seriously, because I mean, there was no not taking it seriously at that point. I was amazed. My video stopped for a second because I'm talking too much. So anyway, I'm gonna try to wrap this up as quickly as possible, because I'm completely running out of daylight. It's dark now. I don't know how this is still so bright. Anyway, so got that. They decided to try me on some blood pressure medicine. Still am not taking as much as he said, because I truly think that it was just because I'm so anxious when I go in, because I always have been, and it shows. And then it would always be normal at home, if not even a little lower than normal. That and some pain medicine for my head. Didn't touch it. That's a story in itself. And then I don't even know, I gotta take baby aspirin for the blood pressure that I get to prevent it in the end of pregnancy. And I swear there was one more thing, I don't even know. And I hate taking medicine. Like I said, I spent the rest of the evening getting that and driving around with my friend to take all that. I worked up the courage to finally do it. Y'all, it takes me hours to try something new, because I'm so afraid that I was going to have like a reaction or something. But started with the anxiety medicine, got that one. And then the one that I had trouble with was like the Tylenol thing that they gave me. probably shouldn't be talking about medicine, but it is what it is. It was a huge pill, and I didn't think anything of it, but when I did it, it got stuck in my throat, and then I'm gagging, and it triggers my like pregnancy reflex, you know, where I had to puke. And my poor friend, we're going down like the highway while I'm doing this, and she has to pull over in the middle of the highway, and I puke out the side of her car. Like, how dangerous and awful would that be for one to not be able to jump out of the car when your friend's puking? Oh gosh, it was terrible. So I had to cut that in half to take both halves, but got it, and it's fine. Didn't touch my headache though. Oh, and the other thing is, they did get me in for an MRI the next day, literally the next day, and they're usually booked out. So he's already moving things around and getting me in, and thank the Lord, I had a lot of people praying for me. Literally that Monday night I went over, and my granddad anointed me and everything. And him and Becky prayed for me, and I did a lot of crying that day. But had a lot of people praying for me, and that next morning, everything, thank goodness, I got the results back by the end of the day, that everything looked good. And then the next day, I just chilled and relaxed and rested a little bit, because my body was finally calming down a little bit. The medicine was working. And then Thursday, yesterday, I had an ophthalmologist appointment, and they basically said migraines also, and I'm just not allowed to take the medicine that would get rid of migraines, because you can't take like ibuprofen and naproxen, that sort of stuff, while you're pregnant. So still have that. Like, it literally, let me just show you where it hurts. It's like on the side of my eye, like down through here and here, and my eye hurts too, to the touch, and that hurts all the time. But then when I'm like having an episode of like stuff, I get pounding headaches too. And I never had migraines, so I didn't really know what to expect. I guess that's what it is. And that's what she seemed to think it was too. She said, I look beautiful. So another answer to prayer there. And then the only thing I was praying was that the amount of blood pressure medicine I was already taking was okay, that I would go into the doctor on Friday, today, and that would be enough for me to keep taking, and I wouldn't have to take the amount that he wanted me to take 3 times a day instead of the twice a day little amount that I was taking. And praise the Lord, when I went in there, it was, I think my blood pressure was 132/80, and that was still a little high. I was still anxious when I went in. I don't know why. I cannot not be anxious going into the doctor. But he said it was okay, and maybe I wouldn't even need blood pressure medicine, and go back in 3 weeks, and we'll see. He told me not to take it a week before I go, and we'll see if it was just like, you know, the pain and anxiety that I had causing it. So that was a praise as well. And that leads me up till today. That's where I'm at. I am 17 weeks and 1 day pregnant, and I'm finally through my week-long panic and anxiety. Thank the Lord and everybody that was praying for me. I couldn't see beyond the moment that I was in. It was so scary for me. So if you have ever been there, know that you are not alone. You can always reach out to me here, Instagram, I don't even know, Facebook, email, whatever you need. Don't go through that alone, because nobody should, to be honest. And I'm always here to pray for any of you all, mainly. That's first and foremost that I would like to say, because we all need it. And yeah, so I hope you guys, if you're still sticking around with this long video in this darkness, I've got to sit up here just so you can see my face, then you are awesome. I appreciate you guys for being here. You guys are always so sweet and kind to me in the comments. It really encourages and uplifts me, and I hope that I'm able to return that to y'all through my videos as well. If I start feeling better, hopefully I'll get more videos out. But I'm gonna go in here and eat some supper, because it is now supper time. And yeah, hope you guys have a good day doing whatever you're doing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye y'all.